Lee began his career with AFSCME in 1978 as a labor economist and served in many capacities until becoming elected Secretary-Treasurer in 2010 and then President in 2012. He is the first African American to serve as AFSCME's president. Lee grew up in a union household in Cleveland, Ohio, where his father was a bus driver and a member of the Amalgamated Transit Union. His mother was a community organizer. After raising her two sons, returned to college and became a community college professor and a member of the American Association of University Professors. Building on ideas generated by local unions, Saunders has championed AFSCME's Next Wave initiative to encourage and to develop the next generation of union leadership. He has also developed and supported programs that foster diversity and promotes increased member participation within the union. For nearly 4 years, he served as administrator of AFSCME's District Council 37, New York City's largest public employees union, representing 125,000 members. In that capacity, he was successful in restoring the fiscal health, integrity, and good name of the council and its 56 affiliated local unions. Saunders serves as a vice president of the AFL-CIO Executive Council and chair of the political committee. He is an at-large member of the Democratic National Committee, treasurer of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, president of Working America, chairman of the Board of Americans United for Change. His far-reaching leadership expertise is surely being tested as never before as AFSCME, which represents 1.6 million brothers and sisters, faces a fierce and unprecedented attack on public workers and services they provide. Let's give a big hand to Lee Saunders.
This is our battle cry. Promise you that I'm certified. All we gotta do is stand up now for us. This is our battle cry. Yeah. This is our battle. It's so hard when the night falls and I don't get your phone calls. You're everything to me. You hear me when these bullets go through me.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you all doing, all right? Down here in beautiful Florida. But you're taking care of business, right? Tell you, I want to thank my partner, sits on the executive council with me, your president, Michael Langford, for that kind introduction. All those things he said about me, I think I need a nap. I mean, it makes me a little tired. But let me tell you something. And he said this: AFSCME represents 1.6 million public service workers across this country. We are not lying down. We are fired up. We are ready to go, and we're going to kick some ass because we are not going to let them take this country away from us. We got to talk turkey today. There aren't any kids in the audience, are there? I mean, I had to watch my language. Michael knows I get like this sometimes. 70th anniversary, is that correct? Yep. 70 years of a proud, very proud union. So I want to say on behalf of those 1.6 million members of AFSCME, congratulations for the work that you do. Congratulations for this milestone in your union and the work that your members perform every single day. You know, in neighborhoods from coast to coast, your members and our members work side by side as first responders, restoring services and restoring those services after storms, ensuring clean water and sewage-free waterways, keeping the lights on, keeping the gas on. Just like AFSCME members, you pick up the pieces whenever emergency strikes. The work we do is not always seen, but all of us are members of these two great unions. Our members are always on the scene. People depend on you to keep the power flowing. Sometimes they take your work for granted. Isn't that right? Think you're invisible. Don't appreciate what you do every single day. The fact is, utility work is one of the most dangerous professions in all of America. AFSCME members understand what you face, and we appreciate the sacrifices that you make every single day. Lots of your time and effort is devoted to troubleshooting and patching outdated networks that should have been scrapped years and years and years ago. One of the most important responsibilities your union has is taking on and shining light on the aging, substandard infrastructure that we have all across this country. It endangers lives and costs billions of dollars each year. Now, as President Langford says, and I quote, you probably heard him say this before, if Thomas Edison were to come back today, he'd feel right at home with America's electrical system because not much has changed. You say that? That's a quote. That's a direct quote. Give him a hand for that quote, okay? Show some love to your president. We must win the case for investments to better equip and safeguard our communities. And with Mike and all the members of the utility workers making that case, sisters and brothers, I know that we will. I also want to give a shout out to your Power for America Trust Fund and Utility Workers Military Assistance Program. I was talking to a brother about this backstage. You're helping prepare the next generation of utility workers. And you're also honoring the vets in the very best way possible by putting them on the path to good, strong union jobs. As somebody who grew up in a union household in Cleveland, Ohio, and how many Buckeyes in the house? I met a few. All right, okay. Oh, well, this is a good crowd here. Good crowd here. I'm a proud Buckeye. Always will be. But I grew up in a strong union household. I remember my folks telling my brother and me that, you know, if you play by the rules, if you work hard, if you do the right things, you're going to have a better life than we have. And I'm sure that you probably heard that from your parents or your grandparents or folks that raised you. If you play by the rules and if you work hard every single day, your lives will be better. Well, I've got to tell you something, sisters and brothers. I don't know if we can say that today based upon the challenges that all of us face. I've been with the union now, with AFSCME, for 37 years. I was a state employee in Ohio and Columbus, Ohio. Bureau of Employment Services for 3. I was a proud union member. So that totals 40 years for me. I started work when I was 5 years old. They didn't have child labor laws then, so. 40 years, can you believe that? But I've got to tell you, as a state employee in Ohio, working my way up through AFSCME and becoming the president in 2012, out of all my years of service, I have never seen the viciousness of the attacks, not only on unions, but working families, whether they are in unions or not. I've never seen the viciousness of attacks that confront us today. That's why it's incumbent on all unions to be on the same page, to put whatever differences we might have with one another. We've got to push those aside because the stakes are too high. If we don't come together like never before, all of labor and our community partners across this country, I've got to tell you, it's not going to be a pretty picture. Because the folks who want to take us out, they don't want to hurt us. They don't just want to break an arm or break a leg. They want to put a gun to our heads and shoot us and take us out of the ball game completely. That's why it's so important that all of labor, and Mike was a part of this, your union was a part of this. We stood together against fast track, and we fought like hell in Washington, D.C. and across the country. And I think that, was Rich here? Was Trumpka here?
Yes.
I'm sure he talked about this. Now, we may have lost that battle But this was important for us to do collectively, in solidarity, coming together, fighting together, making our voices heard together. And we aren't through. We're going to continue to do that because we've got to stand up for working families all across this country. You know, the folks who want to take us out, these extremists, they want to dominate the institutions that are supposed to give working people a voice. Their billionaire buddies already control most of our nation's wealth at top 0.5%. Now get this. The average CEO of a Fortune 500 company makes 331 times as much as the average worker. 331 times as much. All of the wage gains during the recovery have gone to the wealthiest 10% of Americans. Things are so out of whack that the super wealthy now have more than 38% of our entire wealth, the widest gap in the history of this country. But you know, that's not enough for them. They want to remake America in their image, and that is why they are intent on decimating the American labor movement. All of you probably know this. In the private sector, our share, the union share in the private sector, is about 6.5%. It's not healthy at all. In the public sector, where I come from, the density in the public sector is still hovering around 36%. But that's why we have a bullseye on our backs, because they want to do to us what they have done in the private sector, and they want our numbers to come down substantially. Well, sisters and brothers, I'm here to tell you that we can't have a healthy public sector labor movement and not have a healthy private sector labor movement. Both have to come together. And we've got to support our sisters and brothers, not only in the public sector, but in the private sector. And we've got to go back to basics. We've got to organize like never before. And we stand with you when you make that kind of commitment. But they are after the public sector. We do have a bullseye on our backs, and we've talked about it, Mike, at the Executive Council meeting. We've got governors. Remember Scott Walker? Anybody here from Wisconsin? Well, Scott Walker, he's not running for president. Took our voices away from us, took collective bargaining away from us, took the ability for us to represent our members in Wisconsin, took all of that away from us. But he's not alone. You have governors and state legislatures, mayors, trying to do the same thing. Steal our voices, pass right to work, take away dues deduction. But now you've got a new actor that's involved. Not only these governors, state legislatures, but now you've got the Supreme Court. They're actually involved in hearing a case this year that would overturn 40 years of public sector law. It's a case out of California called Friedrichs versus the California Teachers Association. And the Supreme Court a couple of weeks ago decided that they were going to hear this case by the end of the year, with a decision coming out either the first quarter or second quarter of next year. We've got our convention in Las Vegas in July of next year. We fully expect that that decision will come out before our convention. And at our convention, we do it every 2 years. Because we're such a large union, we have 6,000 delegates and alternates who come to that convention. And we're going to be charged up depending upon what that Supreme Court does. But we've got to prepare ourselves now. We cannot wait for that hammer to drop, because what this case does, it destroys collective bargaining in the public sector. Right now, we have the ability, if you don't want to be a member, to be a fair share fee payer. But you have to pay a fair share to the union because you achieve and you receive the benefits of union representation. Under this case, if they rule against us, agency fee will be gone. If you don't want to be a member, if you don't want to be a part of the union, you don't have to be, yet you receive the same level of benefits. And I say that that's wrong, but this is the case that the Supreme Court is considering right now. So you know what that does, don't you? If they overturn 40 years of law in the public sector, what this one case will do is make this country a right-to-work country in the public sector. Now, I know that we have some public sector workers in this audience, but you've got private sector. If you think that you are immune to this problem, then think again, because if they come after us and they get right to work in the public sector, which is the law of the land, what do you think they will do as far as the next step? This country will become right to work for public and private, everywhere. And sisters and brothers, we cannot accept that. We've got to stand up to it. So let me tell you what AFSCME is doing very, very quickly. And I think that you're doing the same kind of thing. You're developing the same kind of program. I heard the debate on the past resolution talking about your member-to-member program. We're doing the same kind of thing, but we've been planning for it. We've been working at it now since January of 2014 because we saw this threat coming. And what we did, what we had to do was we had to take a good look at ourselves, a good look at our union. We had to figure out what we were doing right and improve on it, but we also looked at what we were doing wrong, and we had to fix it. So we pulled all of our leadership together in January of 2014. All came together in Washington, D.C., and we said, this is no longer business as usual. We've got to make some changes internally. We've got to have some tough discussions among ourselves about the direction that AFSCME must take in the future. One of the things that we did was that we decided that we had to conduct a major internal organizing program to flip those agency fee payers into membership status. Everybody agreed to do that. That was January of 2014. We had a convention last year in Chicago in July. And at that meeting in January, we set a goal of organizing internally new members, 50,000 new members by July of 2014. Now, I've got to tell you, as president of the union, I kept my cool when that number went out, okay, when folks started talking about it. Then folks voted on it and said, this is what we have to do. 50,000 new members in 6 months. Well, I've got to tell you, I had some sleepless nights because I didn't know if we could do it. But we're going to give it our best shot. Well, sisters and brothers, let me tell you what we did. By July at that convention in Chicago, we weren't 50,000 stronger, and that's what we called the campaign, 50,000 stronger. We weren't 50,000 stronger. Because of the commitment and the dedication of our union and the involvement of all parties, the national, the states, the local level, we were 92,000 stronger by July. 92,000. And we didn't stop. We didn't stop there. We kept on going. And as of today, sisters and brothers, we are 145,000 members stronger. All of us can do this. You can do this. So we've got a new program. It's called AFSCME Stronger. It's a byproduct of what we started in 2014. So we've set another goal. And that goal is this. We've got 1.6 million members. We are in the process right now of training our activists, recruiting, volunteer member organizers, people at the work site. And this is what we're going to do, and our goal is to do this by July of next year, going into our convention in Las Vegas. We're going to have one-on-one conversations with 1 million members by July of next year. That's our goal. 1 million members. Now let me say something. It's not going to be easy. But we understand this. I think that Michael and everybody else understands this in this room. You know, Facebook is fine. The iPhones are okay. iPads, fine. I mean, we need to take advantage of all that new technology. But there is nothing that takes the place of somebody looking you dead ass in the eye and talking to them about the importance of the union, asking them to get involved, listening to them, communicating with them, talking to them at the work site, calling them up on the phones, even knocking on their home doors to get the message out. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. Those one-on-one, member-to-member programs, just as the Utility Workers Union is doing, just as you're doing, just as you've committed to. Our entire labor movement must recommit and rededicate ourselves to basic grassroots one-on-one organizing. That's what this is about. We've gotten a little lazy. We've got to get back to basics. Sometimes when I'm speaking at our conventions or conferences, I'll tell folks that sometimes as president of AFSCME, I feel like I'm driving around in a 1957 Chevy. Now, those of you who remember that car, remember that that was a great car. That 1957 Chevy was a great car. It was a great car in 1957. It is not a great car in 2015. We've got to have a 2015 model, sisters and brothers. We've got to be prepared to tackle the issues that confront our members every single day. That's what AFSCME Strong is all about. And you're doing it. Another piece of our program is that we're rebuilding our connection with our coalition partners and our allies and our friends outside of the labor movement. And I know that this is important to you too. You've created important partnerships with groups like the Blue-Green Alliance and trade unions for energy democracy. We've got to not only rebuild our trade union movement, sisters and brothers, but I am convinced that in order for us to win, we've got to rebuild a movement of workers in this country, whether they are in a union or not, to fight back like never before. So what's our responsibility? We've got to talk to folks. We've got to educate folks about the value of the trade union movement. We've got to talk not only to members, but our friends and family members, our neighbors. Grab folks at the stores. You know, there is a direct correlation. Nobody can deny this. With the decline in the middle class, which is declining in this country right now, there's a direct correlation because there is the decline in the American labor movement. If labor is strong in this country, then we build up the middle class. We build up higher standards of living. We build up wages. We strengthen benefits. That's what this fight, that's what this struggle is all about. Can't be separated. It's got to be all of us working together as a team, collectively. You know, 70 years ago, your founders understood that notion. They really did. They understood it when your union was born. They knew they were part of a movement that was reshaping society, reordering our priorities, and creating and building upon the middle class. Sisters and brothers, AFSCME joins you in that mission, a mission today that is more important than ever. I'm the kind of guy that, I'm sure Michael is too, and all of you. I look at the glass as being half full, not half empty. I think that we can overcome these challenges if we do it together. Only if we do it together. Together we will reclaim the idea that the women and men who repair and repower America are the true economic engines and job creators of our nation. Together we can do that. Together we will reclaim the idea that if you work hard and if you play by the rules every single day, you'll be able to live a life you're proud of. Build a solid foundation for your family and retire with dignity. Together we can do that. Together we will reclaim the idea that we all deserve respect and dignity on the job. Together we can do that. Together we will reclaim the idea that we all deserve a voice on the job. We've got to be sitting at that table, helping, forming, and making decisions about what affects us every single day directly. Together. Together we will reclaim the idea that working people, all working people, are the heart of America. And it is our work, the work that you do every single day, the work that AFSCME members do every single day, the work that trade unionists do every single day across this country. That work is at the heart of this country. It is at the heart of America. And it is our work that makes our nation strong. Together. Together we can do this. Only together. The challenges are many. The issues that confront us are enormous. But sisters and brothers, standing together, all of us, in solidarity, from Florida to Hawaii, if we stand together, we will be victorious. Because you know what? That's who you are. That's who all of us are. We stand on the backs of folks who fought for their unions every single day. Blood, sweat, and tears. Organizing in the face of adversity. Fighting back, making their voices heard. We have a responsibility in this room to continue that fight, to continue that struggle, to rededicate ourselves to that fight, to make our voices heard. AFSCME's 1.6 million members damn sure are ready to do it. I know that you are too. God bless you. Solidarity forever. We will win. Thank you very much.